How we doing, everyone? Welcome to FSI's NHL DFS preview show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined with McKinley 412. How we doing tonight, McKinley? We had a nice little off night with a 3-game slate. Not much going into that, but now we have a nice, huge 11-game slate on tap. You excited?
Yeah. I mean, these larger slates are obviously my favorite. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people enjoy the smaller ones when things are a little bit more obvious, but I like the ownership spread out. I like my options. So these larger slates are definitely my favorite, and I've had the most success with.
Yeah, you get your favorite plays lower owned just by default, right? So that being said, let's get into our favorites page. We got a lot to break down. All right, we have the biggest money line faves: Florida minus 185 versus New Jersey, Toronto minus 175 versus the New York Rangers, Calgary minus 175 against your Sabres, Vegas minus 170, and that's shocking to me with all their injuries versus a Detroit team. We'll talk about it later. And then a St. Louis minus 160 coming off of a dumper against Arizona. They face the San Jose Sharks. Okay, tell me about some of the favorite game totals, your thoughts on the money line favorites and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of almost missed the biggest one here. Florida doesn't have Barkov. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks here. He went knee with Mayfield, so doesn't need surgery, but still a massive blow to Florida. But still, not really for an 11-game slate. There's not really many super large favorites. We just came off a slate with like a minus 300 favorite, minus 285, minus 250. So overall, pretty things are going to be pretty close. As you can kind of see, a couple of the games are at over 6 total. I think this Winnipeg Edmonton game, it wouldn't surprise me if it hits that 6.5 over under. As we get closer to game time. I know it's exactly what happened last time these teams played. It started off at 6, and then we said smash the over. It went up to 6.5. So I'm just going to think that everybody watching the video smashed the over, and we moved the Vegas line. That's clearly what happened.
Clearly.
So, but I think that one's going to be going over, and we'll see about everything else.
Yeah. The only thing I'll add is I like Pittsburgh tomorrow versus Montreal. I like that money line. It's probably closer to being a dog or close to being even, being on the road. But yeah, we'll get into all that if we wanted to talk quick little bet there. I like Pittsburgh money line, and then you could slam that parlay with the over at the Winnipeg Edmonton game, and there you go. Two picks right there for you for some bets. All right, moving into some picks though. We're going to start with the center position. There's a lot of obvious, I think, in what you're going to talk about with your favorite cash play. So start there because that's where I think the slate starts.
Yep. So we got the cover guy, Leon Draisaitl. Obviously, if you want to go McDavid in this spot, I'm not going to say no. But just you can definitely make the argument that Draisaitl's been playing better than McDavid, at least from a fantasy perspective here. So let me just give you some of Draisaitl's previous games here in terms of DraftKings points. Now, he does have a dead zero in there, so a complete outlier game. But other than that dead zero, his latest games, 24, 26, 32, 29.5, 24, 37, and 40.
Jesus.
I don't understand how this guy is only 9-1 at this point. Now he's going up against Winnipeg. He had 2 power play goals against them on Tuesday night. He should be 9-5 at least. Now he is on the second line. They've separated him from McDavid, but I think that the team is better off with those 2 guys separated. But like I said, if you go McDavid over him, I'm totally fine with that. McDavid's been insane himself, but I'll take McDavid or Draisaitl for a little bit of a savings. But still, they're both just in great spots. But you're going with Crosby here, 7-4. You're dropping down a little bit for GPP. Tell me about him a little bit.
I think Pittsburgh, although, last time out, I believe Tuesday, they, came out and put up a big, not a goose egg, but they were pretty much shut out until the third period versus your Sabres. You had them really high on your radar. I think this is the classic, they just burned everybody's spot, and now they're getting a Montreal team that has struggled defensively all throughout the year, giving up a ton of goals. It doesn't matter if they're home, on the road. Montreal gave up 3 to the New York Rangers on Tuesday, and I was really high on the Rangers that day. So I'm going to go right back to the Pittsburgh well with Crosby at 7-4. He's got 3 games under his belt. I think he's starting to get his legs back under him. DraftKings did me a favor by pricing him up because now I'm going to get him at sub 5% ownership with the way the slate is breaking down. You're going to have Draisaitl, McDavid, Matthews. You're going to have all these top centers. They're going to be the first clicks on the slate. And I think Crosby sits in that tier, kind of like the Barkov tier, right? You'd always get Barkov right there at that 7K to 7.5. And he would always be, a sub 10% ownership given the slate's nature, like this one where you have all these top tier centers. And I think Crosby, who is just as capable, maybe not of the Draisaitl numbers that he's been putting up, but hey, if you think Winnipeg and Edmonton just goes in clunks, then Crosby, maybe you can fit him in with a one-off. I'm not sure, but Crosby, I love that top line. You got Getzel, Rust, everyone's healthy for Pittsburgh. And I think this is going to be, this is the thing about GPPs. I love to be ahead of the curve. I want to get on Pittsburgh, and when they explode, I want to be on the explosion before everybody jumps on board the ship, right? So you try to get on board with the sub 5% ownership before the big games happen. And then you'll get the crowds to come in and juice the ownership. So I'm trying to get ahead of the curve, and I'm going to go with Pittsburgh and Sidney Crosby. Tomorrow is my favorite GPP center. All right, tell me about your next 2 cash targets, because I think value is essential on this slate.
Yep. So I going into the mid tier with centers. I think this is probably going to be a really popular spot with Sam Bennett. For Florida, we kind of mentioned earlier, Barkov is out for a couple of weeks here. So Bennett moves up to that top line. He's going to be skating on top power play unit as well. Now he's going to see like 20 or more minutes of ice time. He's got 5 goals, 4 assists on the season. And he really, he was putting up 3 to 4 shots on goal already. Now he's seeing a little bit more of an increase of roles. So now he can be challenging for that shot on goal bonus to go along with obviously just skating on the top line of Florida, a Florida team that I think is undefeated at home this season. I want to say they're like 7-0 or 8-0. So now they're going up against New Jersey. This team is just amazing. So I think Bennett's going to slide right in just fine. And at that price tag, I got nothing. No issues playing him there. Then the next one, this one's for our Discord chat. They have been ragging on me all season long because I refuse to play the Sabres in DFS because I don't believe in them yet. So they're always yelling at me that I'm holding them back. So here you go. I wore the hat. I got the sweater on for the Sabres. I got everything going. So Dylan Cousins at 3.3K. Now his past 3 games that Buffalo's played, they faced off against Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, and Sidney Crosby. And they had Cousins lined up against all 3 of these guys. He ended up with 2 goals, an assist, and he had a greater than 50% expected goals for. He had a greater than 50% Corsi for percentage and high danger chances created. So he, even though he was going up against Matthews, McDavid, and Crosby, he and his line mates were actually controlling play. So now they're on home ice again, where they can kind of control things a little bit better. And I think at 3.3, he's going to be my value target for center. So if the guys in Discord are watching, there you go. There's my Sabres play. We'll hype them up and see what comes of it. But what about you for GPP? Where are you heading off to?
All right, I'm heading towards Logan Couture at 53. I really like San Jose in the spot. I know we can't put too much into Tuesday. You had told me that before the video, but Tuesday we had San Jose beating, I believe it was Minnesota at home 4-1, and we had St. Louis losing to Arizona at home. So there was just 2 things I didn't see happening, and going back through the games, Timo Meier is back for the San Jose Sharks. And when he is playing with Logan Couture, this is some of the numbers Couture puts up. 16 versus Winnipeg, 14 versus Montreal, 14 versus Ottawa, and 37 points versus Toronto. Last 2 games, Meyer's been back, 18 and 11. So it's pretty clear that Couture operates 10 times better than his expected, which was when Timo went down, he had 8 points, 7 points, 5 points, 7 points, and then a random goal, 4 points, random goal, and then 1 point. So it's pretty clear when Timo Meyer's on the court or on the ice. Sorry, when he's on the ice, I was just watching basketball. When he's on the ice, he is a much better center. He's going to get St. Louis, who are pretty weak in the center position, except for Ryan O'Reilly. So I guess being the home matchup, they can put Riley on Couture. But I think Timo is going to be much better against some of those wings in St. Louis, who struggled against those wings. So I like Meyer and Couture to put up some points tomorrow. And Kevin Hayes back for Philly in that second line. He's going to be skating with Farabee and Cam Atkinson. Scored a goal in his last game out. That was Tuesday versus, should have Tuesday's stuff up, but I remember him scoring a goal against Calgary. I believe it was the first goal to tie it up. Calgary, not a team that is easy to score on either. Kevin Hayes is going to be projected pretty well in a shootout versus Tampa Bay, going up against the Stamkos line. So I think Kevin Hayes could be in line for some block shots as well, facing off against Tampa from the center spot. So I like him. All right, moving on to wing. Go ahead and tell us about your favorite wing plays.
Kyle Connor, once again. I mean, if you want to go a guy like Nylander at home on home ice for Toronto against the Rangers, which, quick aside, like the Rangers, they're 10-3-3 on the season. If you look at like their analytics and their stats, like they're not good. They're seriously getting carried by Shesterkin in net right now. So I gotta expect that things are gonna blow up at some point for New York. I mean, they're not a bad team, but they're not a 10-3-3 team either. So if you want to go Toronto here, that's fine. But we'll go with Connor. I've courted him enough or mentioned him enough in these videos. It's pretty obvious that this guy just puts up shots like crazy. He's going to be in a high, fast-paced game against Edmonton. And it doesn't matter that he's on the road. On the road, he's averaging like 17 DraftKings points a game. He's already got points of 33 and 30 in a couple of his away games so far this season. So it doesn't matter home or away. This guy's going to be hitting value. So at 7-4, we almost got a little bit of a discount here. I think he's definitely going to be able to fire the puck on net, maybe even get the puck into the back of the net as well. But I love your top play, even as a cash play, Bjorkstrand. So, but I let you have him for GPP. But tell us a little bit about Bjorkstrand here.
Yeah, Bjorky lit up Arizona in the opening night. Now, I want to say, we beat Arizona 8-2 on our opening night. That was also at home, and that was where Kivlinkin's tribute night was. So there was a lot of emotions pumped into Columbus. I remember heavily being I had pretty much went all in on Columbus that night in DraftKings. Definitely with this guy as well, Bjorkstrand. But Bjorkstrand doesn't really need that kind of incentive when he's facing off against a team like Arizona, who have been giving up a ton of goals. Bjorkstrand, 5 goals and 10 assists on the season. He's a shot on goal monster, 5 shots on goal last game, 6 the game before that. He's going to average at least 3 to 4 shots on net. 15, 18, 8, 12, 14, 14. I mean, the guy's been a point machine lately. We're going Bjorkstrand and Boone Jenner. Those are the 2 you pair with, and then maybe Werenski. But we might get to him later. I don't want to spoil anything on him. But yeah, Bjorkstrand, Columbus in a great spot. They're looking for, consecutive wins here. They're a good team, but they have 5 losses on their hand. They got to start either if they're gonna go down, man, they got to get to at least overtime. This team's struggling to continue to get points, and we're falling back in the standings. So we need wins, and I think they're gonna come out, guns blazing against a team they know they can beat. Go ahead and continue on. Finish this off with some value wings, and then I'll finish it off as well.
Shouldn't it be like, instead of guns blazing, it should be like cannons firing?
And
with
it's
the kids
fire.
at the arena. I don't know. It's just
Man, I could
okay.
have played that off so much better. You're right.
That's all right. We'll let it slide. Uh, Mid tier for cash. We're gonna go with Hyman here. For Edmonton. I'm targeting this Winnipeg Edmonton game. I mean, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I think this game's gonna be a shootout. I think it's gonna go over the 6 over under right now that Vegas has put out. But Hyman, going into the season, I kind of did not like him as a cash play. And we kind of talked about it just because like he never really shot the puck too much. He was kind of a guy who, yeah, he would get a goal, an assist here or there, but he didn't really have much of a floor. But he's definitely shooting the puck a lot more this season. I was going through his logs, and he's got 3 or more shots on goal in 11 of his 15 games.
Nice.
So I mean, obviously he's not stopping at 3. He's hitting that shot on goal bonus at times as well. He skates on that top line right next to Connor McDavid. He plays on the top power play unit with McDavid and Draisaitl, a power play unit that is just like on pace to be historically good at the moment. And he's going to see like 19 to 20 minutes of ice time. So getting him at sub 6K, I think, is a serious savings for them. For you, I guess, if you're putting him into your lineup. So I do like Hyman there. And then real cheap at cash, we're going to go with Dadonov. Vegas, they finally got Mark Stone back from injury, but now they just lost Marcia Show on the left side due to COVID. So Marcia Show's out for a while, and now you got Dadonov moving up to that top line at just 3.7K. Now they are going up against Detroit. I think I'm kind of with you. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer than
Mhm.
the money line has it at.
Yeah.
But still, Vegas, according to Vegas, the Golden Knights, according to the bookies at Vegas, are one of the bigger favorites on the slate tonight. So Dadonov, we know from his days in Florida, he doesn't mind shooting the puck at all. He's got great games in his past couple. If you go and check those out, so I think he's in a nice spot here to really give you a nice floor and to provide a little bit of upside as well for a nice cheap under 4K price. But let's go over to you, Huberto, another guy who I definitely looked at in cash.
Yeah.
But you like him for GPP as well, so go for it.
Yeah. Huberto, I think, is finally hitting his midseason form. He's going to be skating with Bennett on that top line with Duclair. I assume that's how they're going to do this. But Huberto scored a goal in 2 straight games. He's back on the top power play. I don't think he ever left, but he's been warming up since starting the year on the injured list. So he is playing in his best. He's playing some of his best hockey right now, and he's getting a nice matchup with New Jersey, a team that gives up a ton of shots. So I think there's a really solid floor there for Huberto. This next name, you're going to have to help me out figuring it out, but this is going to go along with the narrative that Detroit could beat Vegas tomorrow. Vladimir, I believe his first name, Nemestikov. Thank you. Where would we be if we didn't have McKinley pronouncing these hockey names for me? But yeah, I really like this guy at 3,500. He's going to be a guy that can score you like 3 points or 13 to 16 points, depending on how many shots he gets on goal. But he's going to get a very weak, bottom 6 that Vegas is almost rolling out pretty much an AHL roster as their bottom 6. And one more time, Nemestikov is skating on that third line. So I think he's going to get, a lot of chances versus some really weaker NHL players. And I think him, Fabry, and Rasmussen, I think that's the line that he skates with. And I think they're going to get a lot of opportunities. They give him quite a bit of ice time too in Detroit. He does have a lot of time on the ice. It's not something, where it's a traditional, if you have a really strong top 6, you play that top 6. They really, with Larkin out tomorrow, they're going to be, throwing a bunch of different guys at Vegas tomorrow. And I think this guy is going to be the one to score. All right, so we're moving on to our defender position. I'll just speak right here on Letang real quick before I send it over to you. Letang in that Pittsburgh 1 theory, I think he's really getting back to Letang-like numbers. Last game out, he only had 4.5 versus Buffalo, but I never really target defenders versus Buffalo. And I don't know why that is, but every time I've tried to do it, Buffalo seems to do really well against the defender position. I'm not, maybe it's just because of the way they play, but in years past, I've never really targeted him against Buffalo. So he had a bad game against Buffalo, but he had 3 assists against Washington, or 3 assists in his last 3 games against Washington, Ottawa, Florida. He's getting his shots back up. He had 5 block shots versus Washington. Letang's a guy that can kind of do it all. So I like him in that Pittsburgh 1 theory. Yeah, that was my favorite stack. But yep, go ahead and tell us about your favorite cash defenders.
That's what I get. I hit a button. Man.
It's all
right.
good.
Well, going with cash, Werenski for Columbus. You kind of highlighted him earlier here. He's averaging over 15 DraftKings points in his past 4. He's shooting the puck a lot more. He's facing Arizona. Really, that's the big thing. He's facing Arizona, and he's kind of like the quarterback of this team on the power play as well. So he's got block shot upside. He's got shot on goal upside. He had a double-digit shot on goal game earlier on in the month. He's not going to get that on Thursday night, but I'm just saying, like, he likes to shoot the puck. He can block shots. He's going to get goals. He's going to get assists. I think Werenski is probably my favorite cash play up top. Mid-tier, Ferraro. How many videos, how many San Jose slate do we have to mention this guy, core this guy, for DraftKings to raise his price, or for people to play him? I mean, he was 6% owned on Tuesday night. I don't understand it. This guy's got 9 straight games with a block shot bonus. In those 9 games, he's got 2 goals. He's got 4 assists. He's averaging 14 DraftKings points at just 4K because his price is just continually going down. So he's hitting 3 times, almost 4 times value, which is just insane. And then, like I said, he's not getting a price bump. He's not getting ownership at all. So I think Ferraro is he's, again, my favorite play on the entire slate. So we'll be locking him in there. We'll go over to you before I drop down to the final one. So Trouba,
we definitely knew Ferraro, it was coming, and surprising to see I didn't go Keelington. I think it's just because I didn't want to tout him for the 15th straight video. So I think I'm
unashamed about that. It's Ferraro every single video until he hits like 4 or 5 or 5K. I mean,
all right. Well, I learned my lesson. I'm Keelington till I die. And I think everyone knows when they tune into this video and it's Calgary on the slate, you're playing Oliver Keelington. All right. But he's 3,400. He's not on this list. I'm gonna go with 5,300 Jacob Trouba. Trouba has been an absolute monster lately. In 3 straight games, he's got 11, 22, and 26. He also has 4 points in that time frame. Looks like he is awakened, and he's getting Toronto, a team that struggles against defense. They also allow a lot of block shots. So I think, 4 block shots and 3 block shots in his last 2 games, a guy that's got 32 on the season, 41 shots on goal. Trouba is going to be in a great spot. I mean, you could play Fox too in this spot. I think Trouba gets you the savings that you're really looking for probably the same point total on tomorrow's slate. So lots of block shots coming for Trouba tomorrow. Hopefully there's more points too, like we've seen in the recent games. And then for value outside of Keelington, I'm going with Gudas for Florida, a second line defenseman. On the right side, he's going to go up against New Jersey, a team that does shoot the puck quite a bit. We talked about Florida being in a really good spot, with a lot of home wins. Gudas, I think, is going to be a big factor in blocking shots tomorrow. He's got a couple assists throughout the year, but that's not really his game. It's all about that block shot bonus, a couple of shots on goal. If we get lucky with the assist, then we're looking at a lot of upside. But really, this is my block shot punt here. I'm favoring that over McKeelington, who's facing Buffalo. So it goes against my narratives. So I'm going to see what happens if I don't play Keelington. Probably going to go for a hat trick, but maybe have him in one lineup, not the main.
Well, All right. Well, super cheap for cash. We're gonna go with Killington's line mate actually on the D.
Nice.
2.5K Tanev. This guy actually he kind of leads Calgary in ice time amongst defenders. He's gonna see possibly 22, maybe even 23 minutes of ice time. He doesn't get any power play time, but he is on the PK. So obviously his block shot upside is definitely there. He doesn't have, I guess, the greatest floor, but he has been on the score sheet. He's got 3 points on the season so far. Short season still, but still 3 points. Like I say, he's there for block shots, and he's kind of there for the opportunity. Because, like I said, if I'm going to get a min-price guy who's going to be on the ice for 23 or more minutes, it's definitely going to pique my interest, regardless of what his floor can be. So,
Yeah.
Move to the line stacks. I kind of already spoiled this earlier, but for cash, I went Nyquist, Jenner, and Bjorkstrand for Columbus. There's a smash spot here. We already talked about Bjorkstrand, highlighted Jenner a little bit. Nyquist is right there as well. But if you want to go with Edmonton, I don't mind Edmonton either in cash. Toronto, I think they're another great spot. But those two teams are just wildly expensive to kind of jam them in. But obviously, you could put in like Puyarvi. I think he's like 5.1K. Hyman 5.9. That can kind of help you out with an Edmonton stack. But we'll go with Columbus here as my favorite cash stack for the day.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna love that, man. Columbus and Buffalo line stacks coming up tomorrow for one of my GPPs. Gotta do it. All right, I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh, Getzel, Crosby, Rust. I had talked already when I was talking about Crosby how much I love this GPP line. I think it's gonna go super low owned, and I think it could have some massive upside. We're gonna try to catch the curve and get the big boom spot here on Pittsburgh before it happens, in the next 2 weeks throughout the next 2 weeks. So that's my thoughts on Pittsburgh one, and I'm glad we got some Blue Jackets. And shout out to Draisaitl McDavid. That's going to be, a really popular 2-man power play stack. I think I might go with the solo Hyman. Maybe it's Hyman day tomorrow, and then pepper him in between a lot of my different, various GPP stacks. So that will pretty much do it. Any final thoughts?
Nope. I think we're all set.
All righty. Thank you guys for listening in. Please like this video, comment below with any questions, comments, concerns, or anything fun to say about the slate. And we appreciate you guys watching. You can find me on Twitter at TKNation47. That is McKinley_412. And you can follow us on our website at FSI or www.fsidfs.com and on Twitter at FSI_DFS. Tongue twisters. All right. Thank you and have a good night.